Thank you, Coochie Too Big. Welcome to the first podcast episode of Zasha Loves Chats. In this episode, Vlad and I are going to watch a clip of an Australian girl, Jordan Tan, talking about something that she went through. And then Vlad and I are going to react to the reaction video. We're just going to jump straight in. Okay, so I've seen the first video we're about to watch, but I haven't seen the response video. But I found them both, and I'm gonna share them both to you. Was it not long ago? Oh no, it's this one. Okay. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
We obviously have seen on your socials your strong opinions towards men and how you promote power to women, which is awesome. We're just hoping to catch up with you for a coffee or sit down chat, whatever time suits you, just to have a chat and talk about things.
Yeah, it would be awesome to hear your perspectives and hopefully give some of our perspectives, sort of learn from each other and see where we're at, because I'm sure you don't want to feel that way for the rest of your life, and I'm sure you want to be listened to, and we're two men in the space of mindset, mental health, and we'd love to have a catch up. So if that appeals to you and you're interested, let us know. We can find a time that works for us all. So yeah.
I just got this voice message from two men in Perth who are apparently in the mental health and wellness space. Now, straight off the bat, it may seem like their intentions are pure, even though if we unpack a few of those things that they said to me, it's very fucking weird. Anyway, I asked what their intention was and if there was like a project that they are looking to work on together, or if they're interested in me like speaking and sharing my experience in any kind of way on social media, because that's what I do. And this is what they said.
Yes, we totally understand that, because we are definitely similar at times in terms of business. The intention is literally just to understand perspective. Maybe we can give a bit of our perspective. Might help each other learn something.
That is so vague. Like, what do you mean? Anyway, being the kind person that I am, I gave them the opportunity to walk away with some kind of dignity. And I said, unfortunately, this doesn't align with me and I don't picture an outcome that I'm fulfilled by. But if you're really interested in my perspective, feel free to continue on following my social media journey. And I would also recommend reading some literature written by women or donating to charities that support us. I've attached some links. I literally sent like a Perth Foundation for Women link, a podcast on the male loneliness epidemic, a book about Boys Will Be Boys by Clementine Ford, another book called Men Who Hate Women. Because if you were really interested in what I had to say and like my perspective, then you would go and read these things. But this is what they said back.
Hey Jordan, that is a shame to hear. I've just got a couple of questions, like what doesn't quite align. I guess because I just asked to have a conversation and hopefully we could learn from each other. I'm not sure what outcome you were picturing that would be fulfilling. I'd love to know.
This guy has started like his rejection therapy journey and posts all about it online. So I said to him, for someone who supposedly practices rejection therapy, you don't seem to handle it very well. I wish I could say that I was surprised that two straight white men can't understand why a woman would feel uncomfortable meeting up with two complete strangers that are males to talk about perspective. There was so much negative undertone and like vague intention, which implies to me that they don't actually give a single fuck about my opinion and my experiences. Or more importantly, how to be a better ally to women in the war that we're fighting every single fucking day. It doesn't feel like they actually want to listen to me or learn from me. It seems like they just want to project their own deeply insecure beliefs on how not all men, so that I don't have to live like this for the rest of my life. Like, how is it that you think that I live? Because I live a pretty fucking happy life. Why on earth would I agree to this? Like, I deal with incels like this on a daily fucking basis, but it genuinely shocks me how beyond inappropriate this is. That they have sat down together, two grown men have sat down together to try and lure me into a fucking corner in order to gain some kind of weird sense of control over me and my beliefs, or think that they can somehow save me from the misogynistic assumptions that they've made about me. And you can play victim all you want, saying that all you wanted to do was have a conversation, but I don't owe you anything. Like, I have every single right to just say, no, I don't have the time. Like, I don't want to do this. And I gave you the chance to walk away with some kind of dignity and send you a bunch of really helpful resources in order to gain perspective. But this wasn't just a conversation they were after, it was a pathetic attempt of a power move that had complete selfish intent, because what the fuck do I benefit out of doing that? Anyway, this is your sign to not fuck with me. Thank you. Bye.
We obviously have seen on your
Okay.
So there's a few things right off the bat.
Uh-huh.
The vagueness was very weird.
Yep.
Obviously,
Yeah.
you throughout the entire conversation, I was trying to rack my brain. I was thinking of what exactly is it that they want to like learn from her, because it kind of felt like they're more interested in her learning from them, not
Yeah,
vice versa.
absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And when she was like, "Okay, here's how you can learn," my points of view, she's taking like a more safety stance. Obviously, you wouldn't
Mm.
want to meet strangers in Perth. I wouldn't want to meet strangers in Perth.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, absolutely.
at the same time, calling them incels, I don't know. It's not that good of a move. Uh, I'd say she responded with a bit more hostility than I would personally, but I can
Mm-hmm.
still kind of get the position.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Okay.
sure even if the guy's intentions were good, they were absolutely just misplaced. It was the wrongest way you could approach a person with this
Mm-hmm.
and say, even if you wanted to share some sort of information, even if you thought this would be helpful for the both of you,
Mm.
it
Absolutely.
was still like a pretty bad way to do it. And
Yeah.
she did at first, mind you, she did kind of politely turn them down. That's
Yeah.
not something I'm interested in. Here's some things you can research
I think a
on your
few
own.
times, yeah.
Yeah, and had they left it at that, that's completely fine. I feel like she wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
even have made the video about it. She was
Yeah.
like, okay, like you don't want to reach out, that's fine. I'll look into that literature, even if they don't actually look into it. They can say that they will, and
Part
you
ways.
had a nice polite conversation. You part ways,
Mm-hmm.
and that woman doesn't need to even think about those guys anymore.
Yeah.
As respecting a boundary, but he pushed it a bit.
Yeah, there were two guys as well that were both sending her they're friends.
Hmm.
The thing about it is, I didn't know anything about these guys or what they're about. She obviously explained a tiny bit that one of them's going through like rejection therapy. So I'm guessing she did look up what they're about probably before she made the video, which is perhaps explains the hostility. I would assume so. She's been able to figure out that that's kind of their vibe, but based off of not knowing who they are at all and only basing it off of these voice messages that they've sent. 100%, like I can see that it would come across like, okay, like I'm not really sure what's going on, but they definitely, you can, I mean, we're not stupid. We can see what they were trying to do. They didn't really want to get her perspective at all. They didn't want her to, what was it, quote unquote, live like this for the rest of her life, something like that. They'd said, like
Yeah,
feel
that's
feel this
also a
way.
very bold assumption. Yeah,
Yeah, feel this way for the rest of your life, which implies that they believe that how she feels is um not just wrong in some way, but unhealthy. They're implying that it's unhealthy in
it's
some
not
way.
even that. They're implying that they know exactly what that is to begin with.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. But what I'm leading to is you'll never believe the response or the apology video. I'm not even sure what you would call it. I wouldn't call it that. Maybe they would. Um, but he made a video in response to this video. And to be honest, she didn't really say anything crazy out of pocket. She made a little bit of a dig at the rejection therapy thing. It was funny. Was it necessary? I don't know. Not my situation. I don't really care about that.
I'd
But
say the incel comment was a little extra. But yeah, like I'd say in conclusion to all of that, I don't
mhm.
feel like she came off as super hostile.
No, no, definitely
Like
not.
I wouldn't be crying into a pillow if over such comments.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And I feel like it was to me, it was like pretty fair. She was just clearly uncomfortable. Having them send multiple voice messages, and she even went out of her way to send them bits and bobs and books and I suppose articles. I'm not sure if they're articles, but books at the very least on how they could learn. I think that's more than what I would do for sure. But this is what we have. um, next,
with the heads tilted and wow.
the haircuts. Let's not worry. Oh my god, I'm getting notifications popping up. Okay, are you ready to watch this?
I am ready.
Okay. I don't know how loud it is.
Good. I don't talk. This is day 18 of getting rejected every single day. And today's going to look a little bit different because for maybe most of you, you might have seen a video that was made about mostly me and my friend. To me, it feels like I'm literally just a guy doing a thing, trying to be better, trying to inspire people as much as possible. And I thought I was doing a pretty decent job. The reason I decided to message Jordan Tan, was to have a conversation. To give context to that, Egan and I catch up with strangers all the time. It's one of our passions. We love talking to strangers, getting to know their story, understanding perspectives. Like, isn't that what we're here to do?
I haven't seen this, by the way. So I've only seen Jordan's video. I haven't seen this video.
Share stories, share experiences, knowledge, learn from each other. No one is perfect. Jordan Tan, you're not perfect. Jack McIntosh, he is not perfect. No one listening to this is perfect. First of all, for all the comments that want to come at me and slander me, have a look inside as well. Look, whatever you want to say about me, you can say. Do you truly know me? When you said that the values didn't align and you didn't see a good, perfect picture ending, the reason I asked why is because I was genuinely curious. I'm a fucking curious person. I just didn't see the harm in it. I've never read a book, and so when you send me these books,
Yeah, you can start.
I don't want to say it goes over my head, but when people tell me to read any book, whether I have a fear of reading books, I don't know, but I have never read a book before. I learn through conversation, other people, good or bad, that's just me. All I can do is be me and be a better me every single day. I'd like to think I've changed a fuckload in the past.
On the book topic, do you have anything to say about that?
That he doesn't read books?
That he's never read a book?
I would really heavily suggest starting to read books. Read something. Hell, it doesn't even need to be educational. Start fun. Start with the fun books. Rustle the jimmies of your imagination. It's just like I don't know. Personally, for me, somebody going, I've never read a book. I feel like that's one of those just like, how have you existed so long? It sounds the same to me as somebody who says, I've never tied my shoelaces before.
Yeah.
Or like, I've never cooked before.
I don't know how old he is, but there are programs in both Australia. I'm guessing he's younger than me. I'm gonna guess. So in his 20s somewhere. There are and have been programs in Australia and New Zealand when you are in primary school. You have to read books. Every single kid picks out a book, reads them. It is like a whole thing. This is like a very well-known thing. Whether or not maybe he was homeschooled and they never got him to read a book. I don't know what that circumstance is, but if he went to school, I just don't understand how it doesn't make sense to me, but maybe there's things that I'm missing.
I would also like to add the whole self-improvement thing, and while like on the outside it feels like a very noble goal, it's very admirable to self-improve and to be a better version of yourself every single day.
Mm-hmm.
By doing that through conversations with random strangers, you open yourself to becoming incredibly volatile.
Yeah.
You shift from one thing to another because public perception shifts a lot. The internet is very fluid when it comes to information.
Mhm.
Something that was cool yesterday is cringe tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's just like when you're talking to especially with the generational shift,
Oh, yeah.
because I remember when I was younger, I used to think that, I'm always going to be part of the youngest generation. Obviously, I scroll online, I look at the memes, everything's fresh, you
Mhm.
know. I got my memes decked out. I know what I'm posting, I know what I'm sharing. I'm going to be up on the latest memes, and then all of that zoomer stuff comes in. I have no idea who Kaisenet is. I
Mhm.
don't know what the Rizzler is. I know nothing about that stuff. It's an
Exactly.
entirely different world to me.
Yeah.
And the people that communicate there, they have different values. Not like completely different, but
Mm.
more or less different.
Absolutely.
And when you're communicating with that many people, you're essentially making every single person you converse with your personal therapist.
Mm.
Like, you need to find out what's wrong with me and help me in some kind of way. I know he doesn't think that way. Like, and I know for a fact that's not the person's intention.
Mhm.
You just sort of indirectly end up making it that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that he's sort of gotten to this point where, in some way, he does feel he's almost owed this just
Yeah,
a
exactly.
conversation, because it's not like he's saying you have to give it to me, but he's definitely, his attitude, it feels as though he believes that he is owed it in some way because he's a real curious guy, because he's really interested in talking to strangers. People, strangers aren't always interested in talking to you, and he's now taking that like quite personal, uh as if, yeah, as if he was owed that conversation in the first place, or as if that
Yeah,
person
yeah.
needed to know his opinion on anything whatsoever. Jordan gave him more of a conversation than he, not that he deserved, but that he required in any way. She could have just never responded to him at all, and that's also justified. Uh, no one,
Yeah,
no stranger owes him anything.
especially with that whole like you don't know me and nobody's perfect. Uh
It's just taking it
Nobody
too
said you were
far.
imperfect and
Yeah.
nobody claimed that they know you. Well, you
Yeah.
kind of claimed that you knew that person,
Yeah.
the other girl,
That were
right?
her
But like
values at the very least. Yeah, he absolutely
an indirect claim that you know
indirectly
their
claimed
values. Right.
that
But
he knew hers. For sure, for sure.
okay, there was the insult remark, but like
Yeah, I get it.
it's not really I know you're an incel. More so it's an
You're
incel type
giving me
behavior.
incel behavior. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was
Yeah.
her, but the thing is, that is the impression that he left on her. So that's, in that way, it was her opinion. She wasn't, I don't know, I can't even remember what the exact line was, but he gave that impression to her by being pushy and presenting in a way that was like he was owed something, even if it wasn't like inherently violent or anything. It was just very entitled. And I think the so far of this response video that we've watched shows that entitlement. Especially, he feels the need to say that she's not perfect and he's not perfect. I just don't, what's the relevance? No, she never claimed to be perfect or imperfect or anything. She was just discussing how it made her uncomfortable and it was ridiculous that he pushed it that far. And now he's gone a step further and he's pushed it even further. So unnecessary. Uh, it could have
Yeah,
just
with
ended a million years prior. Like, this could have just been done and over with. Like you say, if he had have just taken the quote unquote rejection of having a conversation, after being provided sources, and gone, okay, all good, moving on.
when it comes to self-help in general, the first person you need to look within is yourself.
Mm,
The first steps, I feel, the very important ones, you got to take them solo.
mm-hmm.
Where you need to evaluate yourself, what can you do, what have you done, what are you gonna do, and what you want to become,
Mm-hmm.
and then see what you need to get there. And and if you do struggle with that sort of thing, or it's just you feel the need to just to go through the self improvement, I highly recommend to seek therapy, and
Mm.
not as an insulting way. There's nothing wrong with reaching out to a licensed psychiatrist or
Mm-hmm.
psychologist to just to sit down, talk about it
Privately.
privately.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Build yourself in the shadows.
I
Put it
agree.
that way. Be in your dojo, have
Mm.
your Rocky 2 montage,
Mm-hmm.
and then you'd be surprised. The people that used to talk to you will notice the difference.
Yeah. I think the
It,
difference.
it,
Sorry, you
it
go.
is a long journey.
Mm.
I don't know. I can't help but sort of I won't say like relate, but empathize with that guy in a way because
Because of the journey you've taken within yourself
sort of, yeah, but
in some way.
also I feel like he has genuinely good intentions. He just doesn't realize
Yeah.
the harm he's causing in the background
I agree completely with
with
you.
this
Yeah.
entitlement of a
Mm.
conversation, because it's
Mm.
probably the way he's used to living life, where people talk to me,
Mm.
I talk to people, people talk to me, and people not talking to me is weird. It's
Mm.
as weird to him as reaching out was weird to her.
Exactly. You're absolutely
To
right.
from his point of view, it's sort of like, well, why won't she? My intentions are pure. She doesn't know that.
Yeah. Exactly.
And at the same time, you don't know what she's feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And so it creates this situation with a misunderstanding. Like, no hate towards anyone. Just pointing out some mistakes along the way. It's
Mm.
not like he killed a hitchhiker or something.
Yeah, and I think that what people forget, some people forget, is you can have good intentions and still be toxic or even manipulative and
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
inherently realize it. I'm not saying that's not even an excuse. That's genuinely some people, and I've been in that situation where I did things that were toxic. I didn't even know it. I guess in some way you realize at the time like something doesn't feel right, but you don't realize outright sometimes that you're being really toxic. And I feel like that is like often a really big problem with men specifically, and men's the way a lot of men speak to women is like the conditioning. They don't know that what they're doing is harmful, or what they're doing is overstepping a woman's boundaries. Specifically, like in this situation, he obviously wasn't thinking about the fact that this woman isn't going to feel safe getting around to meet with two random guys, and her making that. I mean, I think the thing is, if you make it clear to someone that that is weird, right? You say to a guy, it is weird that you want me, a woman, to come and meet up with two random men that I don't know, when it is very clear that things like that don't often end well, or can end really poorly. Not to say that they do. Um, the the best reaction would to be like, you know what, I didn't think of it like that. That's on me. I didn't think of it like that. Uh, and take that and learn from it, because he could have learned from that, from what she said, from her bringing up something like that. Again, we haven't watched the rest of this video, but he could have easily learned from something like that. And not only that, on the sort of entitlement part, how you were talking about seeking therapy and like doing it privately, I think he's using other people as his own type of therapy instead of just doing the work within himself first. He's really relying on these conversations with other people, these interactions with other people to kind of feed him, when that doesn't end up being healthy in the long haul, because you've relied on other people, even in some small way, for your growth. He's saying, yeah, I can learn from people, but if you picked up a book, you could learn by yourself in the privacy of your room and your home, you could learn so much without having to rely on other people or by chance making people really uncomfortable, which is what has happened here.
Also, just as a final segment before we continue with the
Yeah.
video, where it's just like not saying that this guy should never post again and
Yeah.
be completely quiet about this. This
Mm.
isn't like a shut up, Meg kind of situation, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what I mean by seek therapy privately is uh, don't let other people's voices, don't let the strangers on the internet basically distract you from your own journey because this
Yeah.
is your journey.
That's also, yeah, it's a good addition.
But yeah, now
All right.
we can continue.
Just let me know if you want me to pause it and you have anything to add.
Mm-hmm.
Past 2 years, like, fuck. It's all good. It's all good. I don't talk. I don't want to show. I don't want to show people that I cry. Do I? But I'm gonna fucking do it because I fucking care a lot. I care a lot that I have changed because there was a time where I wasn't a nice person and I've hurt a lot of fucking people. A fuckload. I have to live with that. And fuck, have I shamed myself for it. It felt so fucking guilty. I'm actually thankful, Jordan, because as for the rejection therapy stuff, you guys have got so much to say about it. So much to say, but little would you know. When I was a kid, I used to struggle to ask my parents questions. I used to struggle to ask any questions to anyone because I was scared. I was scared. I was fucking scared of hearing no. I don't know why, but I was. So as much as it seems like fun and games, and I might be hurting people, fuck, my intentions are so fucking pure. I just want to get better. I really do. And fuck, I'm actually so glad this is happening. I'm really grateful. I've learned a lot. You don't have to tell me how much creepy men have been to women because fuck me, I've done some weird shit and I'm happy to own. Because I was young and I fucking didn't know what was happening. I didn't know. All you can do in this life is try to be better than you were yesterday. And fuck, that's all I try and do. Like, honestly. Oh, thank you, Jordan, for rejecting me in the way that I needed. I'm actually very happy this happened because it taught me a lesson. Sometimes I'm loose with my words and I just say things. I'm a voice memo person. Anyone that knows me knows that I send fucking voice memos and I blabber. And just like this video, it's not linear. It's not straightforward. It might not even make sense. And fuck, do I not want to post this because I'm crying? But this is fucking real. Does not get more real than this. Truly. I'm just a normal fucking guy trying to be better and trying to inspire people. And I just don't think we should tear that down. I really don't. To anyone.
I'm just gonna. I don't really want to pick apart a video completely because I know it's easy to pick something apart when you're watching back on something. But I can't help but notice the way he holds the microphone in the exact same place, even when he's like breaking down, when he's really crying and breaking down. It's a little bizarre to me that he really holds it like right in the same place, like right next to his head the whole time.
I don't have that kind of a microphone personally.
Mm.
I do feel like he does it just to get a better audio of it.
I
And
know, but
well,
isn't
he
that
says he doesn't want to upload it, but it's just it might give off a bit of a vibe that like, okay, now I'm gonna do it.
mm,
It's almost like you say it's not intentional, but the body language
it's a
suggests.
little bit intentional, isn't it? Like it really does give it, and I'm not
I'm not going to say it's not genuine. Not a genuine show of
but I'm not
emotion.
gonna
Again,
say it's
I
I'm not
don't
gonna
know
say
that
it's not
guy.
exaggerated.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe on camera, people tend to exaggerate things a lot.
Yeah.
But
I mean, yeah,
with
I wouldn't
that,
be surprised.
it is exactly the thing that we talked about. He kind of confirmed it with like he struggled just with no's and he was afraid of
Mm.
asking questions.
Mm.
And I feel like he's gotten into this comfort zone of
Mm-hmm.
I can ask everyone everything,
He's
and
gone too far. Yeah.
yeah, to the point where he needs the rejection therapy.
Yeah. Exactly.
And to which I can only say once again, that is definitely something for your therapist to dissect.
Excuse me. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Okay. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Women out there that has been affected by me, truly, I'm fucking truly sorry. I reached out when we did this podcast about domestic violence. I reached out to people. Fuck. I reached out to people that I knew and remembered that I'd hurt and caused trauma to. I reached out to them and they didn't want anything to do with me, and I respected that. Fuck, I respected that, and it caused so much good reflection. And I will never ever try and be
Pause
perfect.
you.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So
That's a bit tough, that one.
yeah. When it comes to this entitlement of a conversation,
Yeah.
I've also had people in my past that I know for a fact that it's my fault and I've done the harm. I was the awful person, the instigator of the misfortunes in that conversation,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that these people don't want anything to do with me,
Right.
and I am very sorry, but I'm never gonna reach out to them
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like the best way of me showing sorry is to not appear in their space anymore.
Yeah. Just to
I feel
change.
like just yeah, exactly. Just like my presence of like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, haven't spoken in a while. Yeah, it's me, the person that did this awful
You're gonna
thing. But
set them back so far if you did that.
exactly, I'll
Yeah.
put their mind right back in there.
Mm-hmm. For selfish
Of course,
reasons.
yeah, for selfish reasons, just to say that I'm different now. This is
Yeah.
about me. Like I don't want to put the people that I've hurt in my past back into that state of mind.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they think that I'm like an awful person, I know I've changed. And I know I can't do anything for them anymore. I
Yeah.
know I can't fix it. It's broken. It's
Mm-hmm.
fucked. All I can do is move on, make sure that never happens again. That to me is sorry enough as is.
Yeah. And then talking about that publicly also feels really gross to the people that he's admitting that he's hurt. Not just reaching out to those people, but then also
Yeah,
saying,
yeah,
I did
he's
this.
not
It's
dropping he's not dropping names or specifics or anything
no,
like that. But still,
it's
you
enough
know.
to be like, this feels really gross. This just feels a little like, like, kind of like shaking your skin. You just feel a little bit off. Um, that again, it's more of a, this part, especially for show. Um, yeah, I reached out to people bringing up like domestic violence awareness. Um, you know what? That's an amazing thing to bring up. But in this context, it's really out of pocket and it really gives off selfish, this is about me, not the people that I hurt. I can continue if you'd like.
Yep.
Okay.
It's because it's fucking impossible. Fuck. I'm literally just a guy, man. A guy with a big vision. This is Jack McIntosh out the fucking flesh of it. Like, fuck. Whatever persona or whatever you think I am, this is fucking me. I am emotional. I know what it's like to suffer in silence. I really do. So I feel empathy towards women that suffer in silence every day. Because
Silence. He's suffering very publicly, very loudly. Anyway.
Well, he's
fuck.
not saying that he's suffering in silence right now. He's saying
I
he
get
knows
it.
what it's like.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
I know what it's like to suffer, and fucking close people to me, they've suffered too. At the end of the day,
I just wanted a fucking conversation. If you've listened this far, thank you. And Jordan, I would still love to have a conversation with you. Thank you.
Okay. So, okay, I'm there's still 7 seconds left of the video, and he's basically just ruined the whole thing. Not that it was very good anyway.
It's just didn't
Um,
even it didn't even mean to. Yeah, I took it so slow. It's so nice,
by the
and
way,
like, by the way,
actually still talk to me. Thank you.
yeah. That was just like
Did
the
my crying
most.
convince you to talk to me, please?
Even if that's not the
Yeah,
intention,
I know.
that is exactly how that message was perceived. To me, the reason I laughed was because for that split second, that's exactly what that felt like.
Yep.
Where it's like after all of this, by the way, still open to convo. That's just you already thanked her for rejecting you.
Yeah.
And by the way, here's your chance. What is she gonna do? Reject him again? He's gonna make another video? I don't like. I don't know.
Let me
That
listen to
was
that one more
not.
time. Hang on. Where is it?
At the end of the day, I just wanted a fucking conversation.
That's an interesting line. He says at the end of the day, I just wanted a fucking conversation. It's giving like child who said I just wanted to go to my friend's house. And my mum said no, and I said why? And she said because I said so. I just wanted to like it's okay. You just he said everything, and then he said I just wanted a conversation. So instead of reflecting and saying anything except that, he's bringing it right back down and saying, well, it was just a conversation that I wanted. That's all I wanted was a conversation.
So yeah, essentially, he looped back to the person he was 5 minutes ago.
Yeah,
To the perception of the person we
yeah,
had 5 minutes ago.
yeah. Whether or not it's that he's really messy in the head and he needs more time to process it, that's not
It's
I have no
yeah.
idea. But the thing is, he shouldn't have posted it if that is the case. He had to have edited this video, or someone on his team had to have edited this video. He would have had time to think it over, and he's still, yeah, all good to post that and include that thing I said at the end. Because you could say something when you're emotional, and then 5 minutes later, you're like, like, I shouldn't have said that, or I didn't really mean to say that. Generally, I don't really say a lot of things I don't mean, but people do that. People do that. It happens. And he could have easily said, cut that out from the video. It was just me in the moment being emotional. But he went through so many decisions to allow that to be included in the video, which probably would have been, I don't know, like 24 hours, maybe less.
Where yeah, once again, I feel like those efforts can be focused a lot better
Yeah.
through having like an account that's focused on the same mental health journey, but through professional help rather than this I'm
Yeah.
figuring out as I go kind of approach.
I
Because
agree.
even in the long run, I feel like you could do even more harm than good.
Yes.
Because mental health,
You go through harmful
it's a
stages.
science, it's a school of medicine,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, having like a figure it out as I go approach to mental health is exactly the same as having a figure it out as I go approach to literally any health concerning your body.
Yeah.
It's just as dangerous
Mm.
as the whole raw meat and pasteurized non-pasteurized milk makes you a
Oh, yeah.
superhuman,
We'll
or
figure
like
it out later.
I don't
Yeah.
yeah, like I don't vaccinate,
Mm.
and
Mm-hmm.
the masks are the real killers type of mentality where it's
Mm.
just like I think it's true and so I'm spreading it. If there's a lot of people talking about it, doesn't necessarily make it true or helpful.
Yeah.
And even if you have good intentions, like 100%. I've spoken to anti-vaxxers before, and
Mhm.
no anti-vaxxer is going to be like, "I'm evil. I want
Yeah.
debauchery in this world."
Yeah.
They have a genuine set of beliefs that they strongly believe in, and the reason they're so vocal is because they think that they're helping people.
Yeah. Yeah, like some sort of god in some way. I have the answer.
Exactly.
I have the answers to everything. Um,
And then you end
absolutely.
up in this dangerous echo chamber
Mm.
of
Mhm.
strangers online who you can't trust or verify. Like, I really want to think this guy's like good intentions. He's trying to be better every day, as he says. It's
He
just
thinks he's trying to
the
be better.
yeah,
Mm.
exactly, and that kind of makes it sad in a way
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you also want him to get better every day. Obviously, we want everyone to be better every day.
I agree. Yeah. Absolutely.
Just that there are professional, official medical outlets
Mm.
you can you can apply to, you can talk to people, and you can document that journey and talk about it. I don't even know if that guy like goes or doesn't go to therapy. Maybe he does go,
Yeah, that's the
you
thing.
know?
Like, we don't know. This is all we know about this guy
Yeah.
is this. But the thing about it is, whether he does or whether he doesn't, I agree with you and what you say, especially about documenting documenting as you go. I think it's really important to document things for yourself, and I also think it's amazing to document things after the fact, after you have processed and done some healing, because then you can really output some good in the world. You can really show to people, especially I know like men's mental health, the crying thing. It is good. It is a great thing to encourage other men to allow themselves to show their emotions, but it's not just being emotional. The biggest issue is allowing themselves to show empathy and sympathy, and especially for themselves. But with this whole thing, it's not like I'm showing myself crying. It feels like a little bit more of a performance and less of a genuine natural thing because of the way he circles back around. If it wasn't for the circling back around, maybe it would be taken a little bit differently. And maybe if he was already on the other side of some healing, it would be different because you can show reflection. You can, because the way, especially with therapy, is you go back to a lot of your traumas. You go back to a lot of things that set you off in the first place, and it's very emotional. And a lot of things that you do and say can be very toxic when you are healing. When you are healing, and especially if you've gone through something like PTSD, and I know for myself, a lot of the things that I said and did weren't healthy, and at the time, I wanted to be better and I wanted to grow, and I was growing, but there is a difference between thinking that you're growing and wanting to grow. And actually growing. It's not until you're on the other side that you notice it. But if you're going around in circles and repeating the same behavior and you don't catch yourself repeating the same behavior, you will continue to do this. You'll continue to go around in circles, and people will see it. The way that they've watched this video, they will see that there is no, that we can see, reflection, because he's looped right back around to the start, right back to the main issue at hand. And that's why if he just didn't perhaps post this and feel the need to document something so in such an emotional state, uh, people would perceive him differently because he's handling it himself. Give himself some time, even a few days. Even if you just give yourself a few days, if that's all, if that's what you need to process. Like, you're not going to process everything, but maybe you would process things a little bit differently if you allowed yourself to think on these thoughts and feelings. Then you report back and say, I went through these emotions. Some of them weren't healthy. Some of them were really toxic. I caught myself out. But he's not really catching himself out in this video. It seems like he is. He seems like he's catching himself out, like I did things in the past, but it doesn't really feel like he's catching himself out in the present. I feel like it's a little bit of an illusion where he brings up people, women especially, that he's hurt in the past, and he's taking accountability for that. Whether that was the right way or not, I don't think it was. But it doesn't feel like he's catching himself in the present, especially with the situation with Jordan, especially at the end when he says what he says.
Absolutely. It's just what more could I even add to this? Other than, at the end of the day, I'd still, wish him luck, wish him the best. I
Yeah.
wish he figures out a place for himself.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to therapy,
We can only
but
hope
I
that he
hope
is.
he
Yeah.
continues that journey in
Mm.
the right direction. Maybe he has improved because we don't know what he was in the past.
That's true. That's true. Just
So
because you've improved
the
doesn't mean
real
that you're amazing.
conclusion,
Yeah.
yeah, the real conclusion is, well, he also kind of said it in the sense that he's not perfect,
Yeah.
but I would phrase it in the sense that your journey is still going, and I
Mm.
do hope it leads to greener pastures for you.
Mm. Yeah. I think there's a lot of contrast to what he says, as in, I don't know if that's the right word, but the way he says it, especially in the voice messages to the Jordan girl, where he says, I would like us, excuse me, I would like to share my perspective and for you to share your perspective. And then in this response video, he also goes on to say, you're not perfect, I'm not perfect, as if he's trying to create almost an even playing field, which I don't think is for him to say. He's not wrong. No one is perfect. That is very true. But he needs to focus on his own journey. And I feel like he's going a little bit off track where he tries to focus on going back to what we said earlier, gaining things from conversations with other people, with strangers, that entitlement of almost being on we're on the same playing field, we're on a even ground because neither of us are perfect. But no one is saying that he needs to compare himself to anyone, though it does feel like he kind of is, or that maybe that's an insecurity of his because he feels the need to say that neither of them are perfect, but it's just not relevant. But I don't think
Did, did she
sorry.
respond to that?
I was just about to have a look. The reason I actually don't think really. I think she's mostly just moved on from it. Um, I think she did respond to a comment asking for the material that she provided. And there is a video where she tells her audience everything that she sent to him, which was a bunch of books. I th- all of the material, I think. I think that's about it. The only reason I even found this video was actually from someone else who is a women's advocate in Australia, and she's been an advocate for women for over a decade. So it's what she does. I don't know if it is her like actual job, but she's been doing it. Like she's in legal situations to that point. She's been doing this. So really well spoken. Let me just. Do you want to see that video as well?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I don't. I didn't know what his name was, so I put in John Mack. Jordan Tan's situation. What was his name? Jack Mack.
Mhm.
Okay. Jack Mack. This is the video that I initially saw.
Mhm.
What Mia did next. Okay, let me just pull this up. Okay.
to guess why the man you're about to see is crying, okay? And I want you to lock your guess in and see if you get it right.
It's like, fuck.
I think he's crying because he got rejected on a conversation about sharing viewpoints
I don't
in
know,
Perth,
Vlad.
Australia.
I don't know, man. That's that's a pretty wild guess. I don't think
I
you
know
could
it's
be
an
right.
out there. It's really out
Yeah,
there. Just laying it down.
I don't know about that. We'll see, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all good. It's all good. I don't talk. I don't want to show. I don't want to show people that I cry, do I?
If your answer was that he is crying because he and another friend of his, also a man, continuously reached out to a woman on this app who is a content creator and has spoken about her negative experiences with men, and that they pressured her via voice notes to meet up with them so that they could change her mind about men after her negative experiences with them, and when she repeatedly, politely rejected that offer to meet up with two men she doesn't know, who keep sending her voice notes pressuring her to meet up, and then she even was kind enough with one of these interactions to send them links and books and material that they could read to understand why she isn't the only one who has these views of men and these experiences with men. And they kept, even after that point, pressuring her to meet up, even though she'd outright said, not interested, no thank you, values don't align, please go away. When they wouldn't stop and she made a video talking about what they were doing, that's the video he made. So if that was your guess, well done. Couldn't have been my.
Well done, Vlad. You hit the nail on the head. I don't know how you did it.
I just can't keep getting away with it. I'm just that good.
Suspiciously knowledgeable shaped Vlad.
Guess
I don't know what
couldn't have
anybody
been my
else's
guess.
knowledge was.
And I'm pretty cynical when it comes to men's behavior. This is why you guys are terrifying. One of the myriad of reasons. The inability to be accountable, to flip it, to make her out to be the bad guy, even though this is just the natural consequence of your unbelievably inappropriate behavior. Your total lack of awareness about how you've landed yourself in this situation and how entitled she was to have to make her boundary as firm as she did publicly because you couldn't respect it privately. How on earth can we have a conversation with you all when this is how you react to the natural consequences of your behavior? When this is how you react to accountability? It just perfectly demonstrates why we don't bother with you all in these conversations you want to have. You don't want to have a conversation. You want to be right. And then when we don't give you the opportunity to be right, because you can't be right in this situation, because you can never understand our experiences, because you don't want to, you pull unbelievably bizarre stuff like this.
That was the video that I initially saw, and then went and
Yeah, I did kind of jump over the multiple reach
yeah,
outs.
and especially as like a woman as well, because I know you can understand how to, like, you wouldn't do that. You know, you would never do that because you have that self awareness, though you're not a woman and you don't know what it feels like to be one. I know to the point you wouldn't do that. So it's just, I guess it's one of those things where it is a collective generally that women can really understand. When you've been pushed your whole life in even in micro ways where you really just you get sick of it, that's why I could understand why she was like a little bit insulting.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. But
yeah.
it's just this saying no or not interested once
Mm,
should perfectly be enough.
mm-hmm.
And I do feel like she even went out of her way
Mm.
to go and at the very least, recommend some books, get into her mind space without directly talking to her.
Yeah.
And I feel like Jack Mack would have even had like a chance to have that conversation if he had made something along the line, a video, something along the lines of, I reached out to this person, they weren't interested in a conversation. That's fine. They recommended these books, and I read these books, and now I'm going to
Mm.
talk about these books. Here's what I learned from them, and
Or if I didn't like them at all.
yeah, uh here's what I agree with, here's what I disagree with, right?
Mm-hmm.
But again, like, thanks to the recommendation, I expanded my knowledge, my viewpoint,
Absolutely.
right? I feel like that alone in itself already kind of brings a more positive, warm outlook, to the point where, like, I know I wouldn't do it, but even if you wanted to ask again, I
After
feel
the
like,
fact. It would be more
yeah,
appropriate.
it would be more appropriate. Because, like, are you ready
Absolutely.
to have a conversation now? Yeah, I feel like she'd be more inclined to say yes.
Yeah.
Because now it doesn't feel like there's hostility. So
Yeah.
there's no stranger, what have you, interaction. This is a genuine person trying to learn.
Because I also think that the initial problem, at which we could all pick up on, was that he didn't really want to learn about what she had to say. I'm not saying that is exactly how he felt, but that's what I felt from listening to it, especially the way that he said it over and over again. It does feel that he wanted to get across his views, but hid it underneath the ploy of saying we could listen to each other and each other's views and learn from each other. But really, it does feel like he wanted to get his views across to change her mind because, what was it, quote unquote, so you don't like feel this way forever. Especially that makes it feel like he was more inclined just to have her listen. So if he had have taken the books, read one, two, a few, who knows, that would have shown in some way that he was open at all to listening to what she had to say because she was apprehensive in the first place. That would have shown that he was actually open because we didn't get that from the initial voice messages that he was opening to listening to her by the plain fact that he didn't listen to her saying no. If you're not going to listen to someone saying no, why would we assume you're going to listen to their opinion?
Absolutely. It's the
Mm.
same. Now that I think about it, it does remind me of, like, when I think that I'm in this position where I'm absolutely right,
Mm.
and I feel that it's important to convince somebody else that they're wrong. Like, I
Mm.
feel like the other person is completely dead set wrong. Like, I would want to debate them, at the very
Yeah.
least, like, challenge their viewpoints, right? But I also don't want to come out with hostility. It's
Yeah.
because I'm not a hostile person. I don't want to, like, expose them for being idiots. I want to say, let's learn from each other. But
Yeah.
my expectation is you'll learn a lot more from me than I from you,
Yeah.
because I'm right and I know I'm right.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's, you know
And
what? Sometimes you are, and you
uh,
actually genuinely are right. But
yeah,
again,
I
yeah.
was bringing that up
Okay.
just as an example. I feel like it's not that he thought he was completely right. I'm just saying it creates this atmosphere. When you reach out to
That's right.
somebody talking like that as a stranger, you create this view of, I'm right, but
Mm.
I want you to listen to me,
Mm-hmm.
listen to what I have to say. But then later on, you come out and say you've never read a book.
Yeah.
Like, I'm guessing the books that she recommended are something that she has read, because like, recommending a book you've never read is a little silly.
Yeah.
So, like, what reasonable mind-changing conversation can you have with somebody that's never read a book versus somebody that is actually, like, in the field, reading, studying, trying to advocate for something?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing as, let's have a flat earth debate, and I'll show you all of the things from the flat earth Discord server, right? it,
Mm-hmm.
it
Mm-hmm.
feels pointless, and nobody's going to be convinced by that.
Listen to the
And
voice memos that I've sent talking about flat Earth, as opposed to here's the scientific evidence, or not even scientific evidence, but um,
yeah,
widely known
exactly.
anecdotal evidence or researched evidence. Yeah, the contrast is ridiculous.
So yeah, knowing that
Mm,
and just realizing, I feel like she did do him like a big favor, at the very least, citing the books that she's read.
yeah,
That was a nice gesture, and if I was in his shoes, I would get on those books eventually.
yeah.
Like, but
That's the
the thing
lesson that
is,
should be learned.
if you've never read before, then don't get book pilled first. Start small, go bigger,
Mm-hmm.
because um, a lot of scientific literature can be very dry and boring,
Yeah, absolutely.
and
Watch a YouTube video,
uh,
scientific YouTube video about things like that are
or
very
better,
similar.
yet, audiobook.
Exactly. If he likes voice memos, he's gonna love them. There's
Yeah,
there are many ways to
go to the
learn.
gym, and as you're working out in the gym, you also working out your mind.
Oh
Audiobooks and
yeah.
gym are a wild combo. That's the secret to success.
Yeah.
If you see any of those billionaire like startup gurus who talk about, oh, here's the secret, I guarantee you that's in every self-help book out there. That's the number one advice. You study and you work at the same time.
Absolutely.
But yeah, if reading's not your thing, audiobooks will definitely solve that issue.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
you cannot engage with somebody in a debate, or in a sharing of thoughts and conversations, when you do not even know what their thoughts and conversations, where they stem from, how did they come to that conclusion.
Mm-hmm. If we've both read the same books, books that made you come to this conclusion, and if I read them and I don't come to the same conclusion, then we can discuss it. That's a really good
Absolutely,
discussion to
we're
have.
we're standing from the
Mm-hmm.
same point of knowledge. We know the source material.
Exactly. Though we may not have the same experiences, at least we can get some kind of playing field,
Yeah,
similar ground, for sure.
and I don't know a lot uh about the woman that made the video,
Mm-hmm.
but it gives off the sort of vibe of a professor. Let's talk astrophysics. I've never read a book. It's like you wouldn't do that. It sounds ridiculous because
Yeah.
it's an entire science.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things involved. There's a lot of prerequisite knowledge you need to have to
Factors,
even.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many things.
Mm.
And um yeah, I would just suggest getting more educated, not only on the source material, but also the existence of comfort zones and boundaries,
Yeah.
and just, if somebody doesn't reply to your message and they've seen it, that's probably a sign.
Yeah. And you know what? It's a good sign to just keep moving forward.
Exactly. Nobody's gonna hate you for
Mm.
sending out the initial message.
Yeah. Exactly, exactly. And if they do, people are gonna be like, that's silly.
Yeah,
Just
that's
move
on
on.
them at that
Yeah.
point. If somebody sent you one message
Mm.
and you're like blowing up over it, that's on you.
Mm-hmm.
That's some other angle
Unless it
issue.
was like a very graphic, disturbing thing to say, then yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Unless,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
I
But I
wasn't.
mean,
Yeah,
in a polite sense of a conversation, if
no
you
one's
wanted
gonna
to
get
have a
mad.
conversation,
Yeah,
nobody's gonna get mad that you sent that one initial message. But
exactly.
when you push it, when you haven't even received an answer, you keep pushing, and even if you received a no, you keep pushing.
Mm-hmm.
That's something to work on, I would say.
Perfect thing to work on. Day, just one thing a day. Work on that. Work
Exactly.
on being told no for something and then moving on immediately. Do not push. Day one. I feel like that's
100%.
the earliest thing to learn.
Yeah, yeah. Take
But
it one step at a time,
mm-hmm,
and before you know it, you'll get there. You'll get to reading books, or if not reading books, listening to the audiobooks. You will familiarize yourself with the content, and I guarantee you, it will
mm-hmm,
be a lot easier to have these conversations in the future.
exactly. All right. I think that wraps it up.
All right, tune in next week when we talk about Hitler.
Okay. Listen. That's enough. I can't believe.
Let's dissect Hitler's speeches like that.
Oh my god. That's a bit much, isn't it? All right. Tune in next time on Zasha Loves Chats. Thanks for hanging out with us.